Hello and good evening from Hamburg in Germany. Let me just stop the screen share and just talk to you in person. I'm here at Essmann Waagen in Hamburg, and Essmann is a producer of scales. Scales measuring weight of different things. It starts with whole trains, trucks, and goes down to something in the medical sector or in the pharmacy sector. So they can also go down from many tons to micrograms. Having said this, I'm here in the production side of the scales for the trucks. So what you see behind me is part of the production process, part of the stock that they have. And today we want to take a look at FlowFuse in a real production environment. I hate webinars and I hate shiny demos. That means I don't like to hear something like, it's great, you see some PowerPoint slides or some pre-made demos where everything is shiny and perfect and you don't see what it's really like. This is why this webinar is a little bit different. I will take you on a tour into what FlowFuse is, what RevolutionPi can do, and about how to bring it all to life and bring it to real use in an industrial environment. So at first, I want to start with me. My name is Boris Crismancich, and Crismancich is a name that is nowhere on the world a natural word, so just take Mr. Boris, that works fine with me. The second thing is I want, of course, to know all of you, and I want to hear some questions. So really step in, just ask questions during our presentation, during this little workshop and webinar. And Indira, our host, will then read them to me. I just have one screen, as you see, like my notebook is behind the screen that's connected to the RevPi. And then you will see, I can give you the answer and we can talk about that. So first of all, I want you to familiarize with the features of the webinar. So please give us some feedback about whether or not you already used Node-RED. I just need to know, just everybody try to use the features. Indira will give you a short hint where to find it and where to give feedback so that we can understand whether you are a new user or whether you already know Node-RED. Great and fun. Yeah, it is. Already a user of Node-RED, big fan. That sounds great. Host and panelists can't vote. I would love to vote. Use Node-RED, it's powerful software. So as a brief introduction, when I started to use Node-RED, it was on a hackathon in 2014, and I was introduced by the IBM guys who started Node-RED, and I used it in the industry when nobody else did. And this is something where I said, hey, this is interesting. It has a lot of capabilities. It is low code. It's not no code, but with a bit of coding, you just get very far and you can create a lot of interesting stuff that you can do. The point is, I have come from the IT sector, and when I got into the PLC world, like industrial controllers, many concepts were like, are you really doing that? Like one concept is sitting in front of a machine and just plugging in my Windows computer to program the PLC live in front of the machine. That was something where I said, yeah, I always test in production. I wanted to wear the t-shirt I don't have it. I need to buy one. I test in production. That's something I learned from PLC programmers. And I was used from the IT world, like you have your test environment, your development environment, and your production environment, and it goes from dev to test and from test to production. That's what we knew. In the industry, it's normally like from the developer into the live machine. And that's in many times something that I don't like. The second thing I learned is that a lot of people on the industrial shop floor are not so familiar with IT security. So I had this nice customer who had these cranes that you can use to elevate in a room. So there's a cabin, you can stay on top and you can just get up and then move it left or right. And this customer had a smartphone application and said, Boris, I have a cool app for my system. I can move it left, right, everywhere. And I found out he was in the public network of the company and it was Node-RED, it was secured, nothing at all. And when he moved it left, I just opened the Node-RED dashboard interface and moved it right. He was like, I just did something wrong. Maybe it's I said, no, you have a security problem. And these two things is what we are addressing today. And this is what I want to show you with FlowFuse, because FlowFuse makes the use of Node-RED a lot simpler and a lot more secure. A lot more secure because normally everything is closed down, locked down, and you can get onto your devices from anywhere as long as they have an internet connection, but you can do it securely. And this is something that Revolution Pi loves, because Revolution Pi is basically what you see here. And let me just grab another one. That's a Revolution Pi flat. So that's for building switch cabinets. We were creating the Raspberry Pi for the industry. And we are coming from industrial controllers and industrial field buses. That's our world of Kumbus and Revolution Pi. And one day we just put an industrial grade Raspberry Pi compute module into one of the housings that we had for our field bus couplers, and born was the Revolution Pi, and people loved it and people used it a lot. So when we started with that, we just had a lot of people loving the RevPi. Our operating system is open. It is almost the same as Raspberry Pi OS. The only difference is it's way more secure. So we just closed some of the doors that Raspberry on purpose opened for educational reasons, but we just closed some of the doors to make it industrial ready. And we have more than 100,000 devices in the field for many years. So that's some secure solution that we have. Today, I want to show you how we can talk to ERP systems, how we can talk to scales, and make use of FlowFuse and Node-RED. Let's begin. So let me share my screen. Questions until here. So just bump in, post your questions. I hope I will see them on the way. Somebody here already using Revolution Pi? Somebody from the old Pi? Raspberry Pi also interesting. Who uses something else? Just drop us what controllers you are using, what hardware you are using. That would be really interesting to understand. So now we have FlowFuse opened. Can you see my screen? Just asking so that I don't start without having you with me. That's the FlowFuse interface. And this is just the demo that you can click at all times. So for you, it's pretty much the same. Just go on the FlowFuse website if you're not already enrolled. You can just get a free demo. I have some days left in my demo, and you can use all of the nice features that FlowFuse has. One of them is adding adding remote instances. So of course I can host a Node-RED in the cloud with FlowFuse, but that's not what I want to do today. I want to have an instance on the Revolution Pi. So what I have to do is I have to add an instance to the Revolution Pi and provide a name and type scale pi. I don't want to have an application right now. I'm just adding this device. And now I can onboard different types of devices. I could onboard a Windows device, just bring up the PowerShell and type in this command. I can do it with Mac OS, and I can do it with Linux. And as Revolution Pi is a Linux system, we can just choose this and connect to the Revolution Pi. So I just prepared this. This is just a command that we fire on the command line of the Pi. And now we will switch into the RevPi view so that we can see what's happening on the Revolution Pi. We have one device connected. This is the remote instance. This is my Pi, and I can really have a lot of devices here and manage a whole device fleet. So I can have actions that where I can assign devices to groups, and I can update Node-RED flows on groups of devices and really handle stuff. This is what we want. We want FlowFuse enables us to have a test, a prod, and a test and a QA and a prod environment, and we can just go through these environment and just distribute our flows to a lot of devices. When you have done that previously, just with Node-RED, it was a lot of hassle, building an own image, distributing the image to all the devices. We are doing that in our factory for a lot of customers, but then comes the time when you want to update your flows. And then it really comes in handy when you have something like FlowFuse, where you can just do everything from remote. And we will look at this RevPi. So in this RevPi, we have seen it 50 seconds ago. So the RevPi is online. This is this one we are seeing right here. The status is running. We can also see if something breaks or if something is bad or doesn't work. And we have the local login activated. This means we can go to the local RevPi and log into the system and work directly on the system. We see the agent version because FlowFuse has an agent that is running on the RevPi that makes the communication with the FlowFuse cloud possible. And we see the Node-RED version, which is on this device. We can see the application running on this device. We could just assign a group. And the device mode is in developer mode, which gives us some more access possibilities. Then from here, we can go into the editor and go on the Node-RED instance that's on Revolution Pi. So what we have here is a flow that helps us to work with an ERP system. I want to talk about ERP integration today. That's the first topic we will tackle. And ERP teams are normally Fort Knox. So if you want to get data, they say yes, and you just say, yes, I need an AP to your SAP, to your Microsoft Dynamics, to your whatever they have, and they say, yeah, no. We can just say we just want to have a read-only system. In most cases, we don't get something really nice like a REST API or something that we can call. I have been in the business working as a freelancer with ERP companies for 16 years. And in most of the cases, we just get XML files from the ERP system. So they tell us we will put some XML files there and you can take them and consume them. Or we will just get, in the best of all cases, we would get some JSON files or CSV. In this case, we want to talk about, or we want to look at a CSV version. So CSV file, the file that we have, let me bring that up. So, let's look at the files. I just created some demo files. This is what it would look like. There would be a lot more files in there, but these would be the ERP exports. Somewhere on the network, there would be a folder that we could connect to, and there would be some orders, for instance, that we would get as files. I just made it quite and simply and plain to see. Let me bring it up. So we got in some orders from different people. We have order ID, customer name, shipping address, and all that stuff. Maybe you know that CSV is an Excel file with just delimiters, could be a semicolon or just a comma as here. And basically, it's an Excel without any functions and any formatting. So we have the table here and the data. And of course, every order, like the order 001, is connected to order positions. So within the order, we will have different stuff that people want to order. And what we can see here, this is like a simplified version as that looks like stuff that I had in the past and that we had in ERP connectors on the shop floor. So I tried to make it as real world and as easy to understand as it was possible. So here we can see item ID, order ID. This is what we're getting. And the nice way is that in FlowFuse, we have a real easy way to do that. The first node that I'm using is on startup. So when our flow starts, I can say inject once 0.9 seconds after the startup, and then this whole flow will start. I will just address the place of the orders CSV. I didn't put it on a network. I could have put it on a network storage. Anything that the RevPi user that Node-RED runs on can access is great here. And I said I want to have this order CSV as a single UTF-8 string. We have different possibilities, like a message per line, but I want to have the whole thing as one USB as one string. Now let's look at that. Let us deploy. So what we see here is I'm actually on another, I'm just seeing that the battery connection the cable went off somewhere. We will fix that a bit later. We can see the data is coming here. And I'm right now in a completely different network than the RevPi. So I'm just not connected. The RevPi is connected to the industrial router, which is over there. My computer is connected to the other hotspot, which is over there. So we are talking completely different networks. It's not a connection via the local network, but we are really connecting to this RevPi via the internet. So we are seeing from afar what is happening here. And now we can see all the raw data of our CSV. The next thing we can take is a CSV node. This helps us to convert between CSV formatting and JavaScript objects. So we will get a JSON out of that, a JSON object. So let's look at that. I will just clear this and deploy. And here it is. Here are the objects that we have. So now we just getting real objects from the stuff that the ERP guys gave us. which is smart and easy, doesn't make much of a problem. Now comes the real cool thing. And I would love to introduce you to tables. Maybe like I did before, you are a fan of the Dashboard Notes 1. Just use the chat so that we can see, is somebody already using the Dashboard 2? Are you familiar for the Dashboard 2? That would be something that I'm interested in, because the Dashboard 1 is quite old and deprecated, and in the meantime it's a little bit insecure because it's still running on what was that? I forgot the web front-end technology it used, but it's really deprecated and outdated. Now FlowFuse just brought out the Dashboard Notes 2 that are available on every Node-RED installation, and these are really powerful. In the first minute, they may see a little bit more complex than the old ones, but they have so much cooler functionality that I will show you right now. So first of all, we can take a table node. And this is what I'm really thrilled to see what you are choosing. Like, did you see the table before? This is the table. And of course, we can say where on the dashboard should the table be located. So we have the order management. I just created a front end with orders and positions, and that's on the left side where the orders should be. And there's an action, which means replace. Like every first time that the flow is started, this will replace the data which is in the RevPi. So in the table. This is the first thing that we want to see. And let me I'm on the local instance. That's what I didn't want to see. But now I will be switching my camera. And fingers crossed if that works. Stop sharing. So what we are now seeing is the desktop of the RevPi in front of us. And that's the front of the screen on the system. So I'm choosing we will put it on this screen later. I just put it on screen share right now that you can roughly see what happens here. Whoops. And this is the order management. What we did, we created this table. It's not interesting what's in it. It's just with these some clicks, we just got the data from the ERP system into a nice table. And what we can do next is we can just add an action on clicking. Let's go back into screen share and see how that is done. So now we want to click on one table entry. Sharing again. Hope you're with me. Just tell me if something isn't displayed. So now in the order table, we can say interaction click, and you could see that the rows were clickable. This is what we will do right now. With the click, we get the data from the whole row, and we want to extract from that data the order ID. So we're getting the whole row, and what we want is the order ID, which is in this case 25,000,001. This is done with a change node. So we are setting the message object order. Every node, for people who are new to Node-RED, every node sends a message object. So there is a message object just handed over from one node to the other. And this gets a new element, which is order. And in the order, we will extract the payload order ID. So the payload from this table, from the click, and we will get the order ID out of that. Having done that, we can just get the order ID, and we want to have an action here. First, when we have order positions on the right side and we loaded them and we click another entry, so like the second row or the sixth row, we want to have the second side of the second table, which is on the right side, cleared. So the first thing we do is we set an action, replace with payload to the value empty. So just an empty array. And then this table is cleared. That's the first thing that happens. We can see what we can do here by just going on the manual. And if we go here, we can see all the stuff we can do, like the action, which is here. And there's a good documentation on what we can do and what we can send in terms to make this remote controllable. The second thing is easy. We have seen that already. We are just reading the second CSV file. This time we are doing something different. In the CSV, we are just saying we want to have one message per row. Why one message per row? We want to filter by the ID of the clicked element. So this is why we just select this. So for every row, this switch is triggered. And the switch just says, if the payload order ID that we are getting from the CSV file, from every single entry, is the same as the order that we just selected on the left side, then it will be passed through. Otherwise, it will not go through this gate and just die. So we are just getting the entries for the selected order IDs on this side. This is pretty easy. It's like, looks quite funny, but it's really straightforward. And when we think about programming that on foot, which I did in the past a lot of times, nowadays ChatGPT helps you to do a lot of that, but in order to be stable, in order to be fast, this is really something you can just drag and drop it and you get that very, very fast. Then we want, when we have the table, let me just add the power supply again. I will be back in a second. I'm just a little concerned that we are running out of power, and that would end our evening sooner than we want it to be. So just adding a second power supply. That looks good. I like that sound. So now we just look at the result in the front end. Let's go back to the front end and stop sharing. So there we are. And now we want to select something on the left side. And now this is what happened. The second table just contains, it's always overwritten. First, it's cleared from everything. Then the new items are loaded. And of course, this table function gives us the opportunity to search and to filter and do stuff. In this case, you see there's a nice little field. This is what comes next, a barcode scanner field. And this is really interesting because there's a new node type for that. Let me just share my screen. And you will see how that works. Barcode scanners are quite common, and it was always a pain in the ass to implement them into Node-RED. And this is a problem that I found so annoying that I just said we have to solve this problem. First of all, when we select the position of the table, then we can just use the change node again. So we are changing something and we want to set something. Normally we are working with message objects here. Now we are using a flow object. This is an object that is available in the whole flow, not only in the message that is passed, but it's active for the whole flow. And what we put in was the payload of the selected barcode. So we wanted to have the barcode saved in the flow variable. We would send an action focus and a message payload. This is really unnecessary because we are good here. This is where we just say, when we clicked, we save that value. The next thing is an interesting input type. This is quite new. It's a barcode input, and it helps you to work with a barcode scanner. Let me show you. A barcode scanner, like a USB barcode scanner, most of them are USB. There are some that work with serial and can also be connected to the Revolution Pi. But most of them are normal barcode scanners. And when we're working with that, we will be having problems with getting the focus. I will show you what I mean by just stopping the screen share again, going back to the camera. And here we can see the following. Wherever we click, the focus remains here. This is what this barcode field does. So the barcode scanner normally is like, for everybody who didn't work with a barcode scanner before, like the hand scanners, it will just scan numbers or text, QR codes, whatever, and type them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wrong keyboard, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And followed by an enter. So what happened here? Let's see. So first of all, the barcode field just keeps the focus. So I cannot click anywhere else. I can shortly click somewhere and I will show it to you on the real screen in a minute. It's the machine display that we can attach to the Revolution Pi. We will activate that in a minute. But right now we are staying here. So what we can do is we can just fire a barcode, and let's go back to screen share and see how that works. The first thing is we get the barcode input, and as soon as it's fired, we will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Correct means we are now getting the message payload. This is the barcode coming out of this element, and we will find out if it's the same as the flow barcode that we saved here. And if it's the same and it's matching, then we're going to good. And the output is just some HTML that ChatGPT and Cloud AI can assist you to create, which was the red error message that we got. And we were sending a message color, which was green. And the same, of course, for bad. That's the second thing. And we have the bad version. So in terms of notifications, we can now use the notification node in order to just display notifications. Normally they are just a small window, but as we have seen in our case, when we look at the output here and we just add something, this is the HTML that is displayed with the wrong barcode. And when I get the right one, like the Twix, let's try Twix. So first of all, we have to select the Twix. Now the ERN barcode is saved in the flow variable. And this is the one for correct. So this is where we were going first. So this is the point where we have selected and added the barcode scanner. Now comes the next part, the scale. I just want to stop here for a second and just get some feedback from you guys. Did you see that before? Was it something new? Just give me some information, what you thought. Did you work with the table? Just show us how the comment function works and let me know if you have some questions until here. Everything's okay. Put a change load to change the input to message payload. Problem solved, yeah. Yeah, Markus Haslecker, same. I tried using dashboard 2, but reverted back to dashboard 1 due to simplicity. It took a little learning curve, but I'm very impatient. Our camera woman now just dies laughing. I am very impatient and it works for me, so I'm pretty sure it works for everybody else. That's really a great feature. Dashboard 2 rocks. Message payload instead of other property. Yeah, but it's an open source project. It's always possible to have some suggestions or even contribute, which I did because the barcode node that you saw was just made by these hands in a very impatient manner to support barcode scanners and not having to do it all the time. So the community is doing a great work here and it works very fine. Now let's look to the next thing to integrate with really hard to integrate things. And this is where I want to show you really how it is done. Because I can prepare everything here and say, wow, it's very easy to do, and whoops, here is it. Here it is. We can just show how it is done. And I'm quite sure that this is not the last time that we talked in the community about how it is done, because I want you to reach out to me. I want you to reach out to the FlowFuse community, to the FlowFuse team, and get into doing great stuff with Revolution Pi, with other devices, with FlowFuse, added with different clouds. That's what we want to see. So let's go into terms. I'm taking the screen share again, and I will take you into the depth of working with scales. So we have this nice scale here, and this scale is a counting scale, which means I can use this light and I can add different weights. And for instance, when I want to have the counting scale count something, I can just go to sample and I put in, now it asks me to add 10 pieces of whatever I want to count. This is 500 grams. I go to enter. Now it's set to, this is 10 times of what we want to count. Now we see 0 times here. And if we put that on, it tells us, I think 4, right? So this is 4 out of 10 in this case. This is what a counting scale is made for. And normally counting scales can also come with lights which indicate green when you have the right number of pieces. For instance, that's used when you have disabled people who cannot work with numbers or something. Then you can just help them packaging with a green and red light. They just have to put so and so many pieces on that until the light is green, and then it's the right amount of packaging. That's really good also for loud environments. But these scales are normally completely disconnected from the process. So we cannot talk to the scales. And this is where it becomes quite interesting, because there is a cable connection, which is a really good example for how long technology works. Some of you might know serial connections, and there are different types of serial connections. The most used serial connection in the industry right now is RS485. And there is a very old system, RS232. And in the industry, we just say, if it works, don't change it. So we have a lot of old protocols, a lot of old standards. Also with the Revolution Pi, we support something like Profibus, which is a 1990s protocol that died out or should have died out, but is still alive. You can always say it should die, but the technology never dies. So what we have here is RS232. And what we can do is we can talk to this scale with this protocol. And the nice thing why I came to Revolution Pi, I was a technician before in my life, before I got into management and into business development and partner management. I was really creating solutions with Revolution Pi, and I liked it because it has the same variety of Raspberry Pi that I can just use any software on it. And also in the second time, it has the same, not the same, it is really industrial and rugged, and it offers me to talk to industrial protocols like BACnet, like Profinet, EtherCAT, Ethernet IP, all the field bus systems that are on the industrial shop floor. And I can connect to any PLC of any brand, and also to some scales. In this time, it's a little bit fuzzy. There is the USB, the big USB stick you can see here is the RS. I just said it 100 of times, but it's the converter for this. RS485 would be on the RevPi naturally, but we just had to use a little converter here. When I just share a little bit and show it on the big screen, having an eye on the time already, we can see I just asked ChatGPT, when I log into a Linux device, how can I do all that stuff? How can I see what's going on there? And with a couple of clicks, you will get to a software that's called Picocom. And I just gave it the model of the scale and my Revolution Pi, and it told me this is the command you should use. And I just played a very dumb user, like didn't work, and then it gave me a second one. So if you see the different things, it's trying out different baud rates for the professionals. But I could have been dead stupid, not understanding anything that happened here. And in the end, I got my nice result, which is here. So this command gives me results that look like this. And in order to use that with FlowFuse, I will switch over here and just see how it is done to get the scale implemented. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking an exec node, which executes a command on the command line of the Revolution Pi underneath. And I can just put this command here, and I will get the output that we are seeing. So let me put an inject node, add that here. And this is how we can get the results. And then we would have to extract them. And also in this point, Node-RED and ChatGPT or Node-RED and Claude AI are big helpers, because if you want to use a function node to get something filtered, you can always ask ChatGPT or something to create you the content of a function node, which helps because you don't have to import nodes. You can also import whole nodes, whole flows. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't work, but that's the real easy way to implement industrial stuff. And the last thing that we can do is we can also use input nodes from the Revolution Pi. So here we would just add a local server, and with that we can just select pins from the IOs. So Revolution Pi can have multiple IO modules that can be connected in a stack and in a row. I will just shortcut a little with an eye on the time. Having talked a bit longer than I wanted about these topics, just a quick look at the chat. Is there questions so far before we go to the last and final?
We have some questions, Boris.
Oh, yeah, I love
I didn't want to interrupt you, and they're in the Q&A pod, so you don't see them in the chat pod. So the first one from Ruben: how do you work with different sessions on the dashboard for different flows? One user working on A, other on B. Not a fan of duplicating flows, but all the socket IDs for pushing separate data is very confusing and complicated.
I would love to understand why you need different sessions, because I will just put that on the touch screen. So when I'm working with machines, and this is my industrial touch that I'm having here, this is what people will use. This will just be the only session normally working on it. FlowFuse can offer session handling, so you can work with different users on different in the same time. But the question is, what scenario do you have in mind? In the scenarios that I have, normally people are just using one interface or one session in the same time. Or do you want to have many workers working with mobile devices on the same system? I think it depends a little bit on the design and what you want to achieve. So maybe you can shed some light on that.
Okay, Ruben says in the chat, manual work centers. You have one HMI connected to the machine, single session, but on two work tables in between, you have multiple session scenarios.
Okay, then you would run, normally you just have one session for one system. I would run different instances of Node-RED. And it's also possible to do that with FlowFuse. Then I would just instantiate the whole thing. But I didn't see such a scenario, and I would reach out to the FlowFuse guys to get some insights back from them. For me, it's also very interesting. I will just get that information for you. It's also interesting for me. I will get back to you. I'm sure that Indira can share your contact data, and I can reach out to you.
Okay, next question. I mean, we're running out of time, so
yeah.
How do we write data from Node-RED to ERP systems, which I think is what you were just trying to explain, right?
In the same way, we just have the file nodes here, and we can just use that as reading or writing. So we would write back files that they could consume. That's normally the way that they want to have it. Of course, when they offer a REST API or something, it's pretty easy to handle that with Node-RED, but normally it's done on a file base. Robust and the old way.
Okay, moving on to the next one from Mark O'Donovan. Is this project available somewhere, or can you share the flow JSON? I have a potentially very similar project coming up. What is the make and model of the scale? How are you communicating with the scale?
The make and module from the scale is an HC15KI from AMD. and reach out to me. My contact data is easy to find. Boris from RevolutionPi, and maybe you can reach out via LinkedIn, or you can just drop a message to Indira. Then I will get in touch with you, and I would also be happy to share everything with you that we have done so far. We didn't reach the session where we or the point where we just used the ready to deploy TensorFlow, but I will handle that in a different in a tutorial that will be launched end of next week. So don't be disappointed. There will be a tutorial on TensorFlow using FlowFuse also in the next week available.
Good to hear. And the last one, do you have interesting dashboard 2 nodes?
Interesting dashboard 2 nodes. Yeah, of course. One I already showed you. Then one is something I'm working on. This is the HMI node. And the HMI node is something that I asked my team to create. That gives you an HMI button. Where's the HMI push button? I don't see it. Just, I can show it you afterwards. It looks exactly like the push buttons on industrial machines, like the Eaton buttons or the Pilz buttons, like the mechanical push buttons. And it works great for screens. So you can just get rid of all mechanics, just use a touch screen. And there are screens that work with gloves and stuff like that. So you can use it and make something that people can really understand quickly, because there's the button and the label. And it looks like a normal old switch cabinet like you see behind me with proper push buttons.
Okay, that was the last question. Is there anything else you would like to share before saying goodbye, Boris?
Oh, yeah. Sharing is caring. So I'm really interested in what you guys are doing. If you have some things where you say, hey, we at FlowFuse or RevolutionPi should just create a demo or a tutorial on, let us know, get in touch with us, get in touch with me. Let's talk and let's make the world a better place with FlowFuse, Node-RED, and scale it. Let's scale, guys.
Okay, and on that
Sorry
note,
for the pun.
Well, I guess many of you have already, but if you didn't leave just yet, a short survey will appear after we end the session. It only takes a minute, and your feedback helps us shape future webinars. A big thank you to Mr. Boris for the great session, and thanks to all of you for spending the hour with us. If you'd like to talk about how FlowFuse can support your industrial projects, feel free to let us know in the survey or in those links I just shared with you in the chat. And you can also get in touch anytime, through contact us form, through the chat in our website, you can book a demo with our team. Both links are in the chat, like I said. Thanks again, and until the next deployment.